Good morning, everyone. My name is John Royal, and I'm president of Gulf Energy Information, which is a technical media publisher and events company with offices in Houston, London, and Dubai. I'm very pleased and honored to have been asked by the Industrial Valve Summit to moderate this session on Africa and opportunities in Africa. And from our perspective in the upstream, midstream, and downstream oil and gas business, there are a lot of opportunities in Africa. Onshore, new infrastructure, especially offshore, deep water. It's an exciting it's an exciting area for the energy industry. We'll begin this morning with some presentations from some special guests, dignitaries, and then we'll have a panel of practitioners in Africa, and we'll discuss opportunities in the Africa continent. So we'll begin this morning with a talk from Mr. Fabrizio Lobasso, Deputy Director General for Growth and Export, the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Fabrizio.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to As Africa, to Javier, to all the organizers of this splendid fair, which I have to say it's much more. It's a platform of industrial dialogue, I would say. Just before we were about to remember the fact that Bergamo and the Lombardia region are a real example of an Italian ecosystem in which you may have enterprises, you have academics, you have universities, civil society, and so all together they work, and at a certain moment they get an identity. And when you get an identity and you are known outside, you have reached a lot in terms of results. I'm very happy also today to be part of this brief moment at the very beginning, because just 2 days ago I came back from Rwanda, where we had a big CEO forum, also with Italian enterprises, with Italian associations, and I have to say that, again, the choice of focusing on Africa from As Africa, with whom we work constantly, is absolutely right, especially in this period. Especially because, just fortunately, the majority, or maybe all countries in Africa, they see in Italy, just a trustful and accountable and a specialized and a technological and a very excellent partner. I see, whenever we travel to Africa, I see this great desire of more Italy in Africa, in terms of partnership, in terms of relationship. And this is probably something that also we as Italian, we should even probably increase more and more. The idea of long-term relationship with the continent, and abandoning probably an old mentality which focus briefly on a short trip, on export, on brief and short-term partnership. On the contrary, we should acquire much more, I would say, some concept from Confucianism, which is working for a generation, working towards a generation for 20, 25 years, and establishing. The moment is very, very important for the fair, for all the transversal sectors covered by the fair. You know that Africa still has more or less 600 million people without electricity. So this is a very important moment in which World Bank and African Development Bank they have decided to launch Mission 300, which is a way in 2030 to cover at least 300 million of people with electricity. And this is very, very important because electricity is also prosperity, is water, is a lot of different activities for civil society and for vulnerable people. When we talk about, this is very important, when we talk about Valve Summit, when we talk about the issues, the topics at stake, we have to remember that we are not only in oil and gas or in the classic sectors, but we go to renewable energies, we go to water, to all kind of refinery, of industrial technology, of creativity, and so it's a long-lasting, it's a very rich and splendid supply chain that has to be followed. And I have to say that it's very well structured in Italy, and this is probably the best part, and that gives us also probably, you know, as the third position in terms of export in the world, and you know, just a big, I think, 4 billions in terms of exporting in 2025. Last but not least, let me tell you that we as Italy, and in relationship with Africa, we have a great advantage because as a bridge into the Mediterranean, you can see how plastic, how visual is our belonging to this splendid place in which we can find common values, common prosperities, and we work a lot with all countries, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Morocco. Years ago, we have opened a new embassy also in Mauritania. And so you may imagine how much is important working on hydrogen for the moment, electricity, in the framework of what we call Mattei Plan, that probably you know now, much more and more after 2 years, in which we have, you know, just project ongoing and money apportioned, and especially big project in terms of connectivity, physical and virtual connectivity, transportation, infrastructures. And that's why I think that a fair like this covers, you know, just all these needs and this need of partnership that we have with Africa. I'm sorry, last but not least, the real last is a particular attention to training, vocational training. Italy has this characteristic. This also, it's a trustful in terms of training. I see that it's one of the sectors, primary sectors, into the Mattei Plan. And we, as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, always, you know, just we go on throughout the pathways carved by the Mattei Plan. But I think that, you know, just reflecting more and more on how to increase and improve a system of training for Africa, especially in technological and very high-level sectors like these, it's very important, not in order to have African brains forever in Italy, but in order to train African brains that then they come back to the continent and they make the prosperity of their people. So we are ready as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs to do our part. We are very, very happy to be here, and I'm particularly glad because in my almost 2.5 years as a Deputy Director General for Growth and Export, I have to say that Italy is really working a lot, even in terms of soft power, to let the world understand that it is not, you know, food, furniture, vogue, and, you know, just all the traditional topics, but it's more and more quantum, artificial intelligence, high technology, fintech, and startups, biotech, and an incredible number of innovative sectors in which we are at the highest level in the world. In valves, it's one of them, again, for all the supply chain. So best wishes to your panel. Very happy to listen and to learn more. And this is one of the advantages of people like me from the institutions, that in places like this I can speak some, but especially I can hear a lot and I can listen to. And so congratulations for AS Africa. Thank you to everybody here, to Avier, to Fiera Bergamo, to Bromoberg, and good luck for the prosecution of the job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio. We're also very pleased to have with us the Consul General of Algeria in Italy, Ms. Mariam Gender.
Thank you. Mr. Fabrizio Lubasso, Deputy Director from the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor that I stand before you today on the occasion of this summit here in Bergamo, this beautiful city full of charm and history and great economic potential. This event is especially dedicated to the convergence between our economic ambitions and our energy challenges. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, Confindustria Bergamo, and all the partners who made this gathering possible. It's important to highlight that the valve industry in Algeria is a rapidly developing sector. It supplies major industries such as hydrocarbons. And valves are used in nearly all industrial processes, particularly in water treatment, mining operation, power generation, and in the processing of oil, gas, and petroleum products. On the sidelines of this summit, it's worth mentioning that one of the pillars of the rapprochement between Algeria and Italy remains energy cooperation. This role as a strategic secures Italy's energy transition as its primary partner is also paving the way for joint green hydrogen projects. The cooperation between our two countries, boosted by significant agreements, focuses on strategic sectors around industrial partnerships and technology transfer initiatives aimed at integrating Algeria as a hub. This cooperation ensures a gradual transfer of expertise and technology, providing technological know-how that enables Algeria to develop its own production capacities. Regarding the energy and oil sector, the geostrategic hydrocarbons industry between Rome and Algiers rely extensively on industrial valves for gas pipelines, refining and processing operation. This strategic partnership is strengthened by the presence of expertise of leading Italian companies in Algeria, helping to meet both national and international needs. Today, relations between our two countries are steadily growing up, built upon a strong convergence of diplomatic, political, and economic views. These relations continue to evolve and intensify in the spirit of the Mattei Plan for Africa, which Algeria sustains, obviously. Thank you for your attention. I would like to express my sincere wishes for the success of the discussions that will shape this summit.
Thank you very much. I would now like to introduce Ms. Lara Kalnagi Kalasani, Confindustria Bergamo.
Good morning, everybody. To start with, I would like to apologize. Unfortunately, I was stuck in the terrible traffic jam. It took me more than an hour and a half to arrive here, but anyway, I made it. At the very end, I was walking and running. They asked me to introduce this panel. Unfortunately, I'm not introducing it, but anyway, I do hope that my speech will be interesting as well. I would like to talk about the importance of the African continent for the Italian industry, and especially for the district of Bergamo. The African continent has been playing an increasingly strategic role for Italian industry, both as a market for exports and as a partner for industrial growth and innovation. Africa's rapid demographic and economic development, combined with major investments in infrastructures, energy, agriculture, and digitalization, makes it a source of great opportunities for Italian companies. Italian businesses are especially active in sectors such as machinery, constructions, renewable sources of energy, and agri-food technologies, areas in which Italian know-how and high-quality production are globally recognized. For the industrial network of Bergamo, Africa represents a particularly promising frontier. The province boasts a strong manufacturing base. You know that Bergamo is the fourth manufacturing region of Europe, so it's very, very strong on this, in this respect, especially in mechanical engineering, automation, industrial equipment, and construction materials. And many small and medium-sized enterprises in Bergamo are already exporting to or collaborating with African partners. These exchanges not only diversify markets and reduce dependence on Europe, but also support sustainable growth and technological development across both regions. Moreover, partnerships with African countries foster innovation, cultural exchange, and new opportunities for training and employment. Now I would like to focus a little bit on our investment in Africa. I am the president and the managing director and the CEO, of a very large textile group that has 4 productive units in Italy, 1 in Africa, in Ethiopia, and 1 in Vietnam. So I would like to tell you something about this investment, which is, as I told you, in Ethiopia, in a town called Kombolcha, which is midway between Addis Ababa and Djibouti. So far, we have spent in this investment the equivalent of $120 million US, and we have made a plant equipped with the best technology available. So what we had experienced, both in Italy and in Vietnam, was made as well in Africa, and even we were able to do it even better. The biggest of the whole Carvico group, so that is the biggest company that we have created since, we started a long time ago now. The company has also been developed in deep respect of the environment, safeguarding the health of both our staff and the local community, with the use of clean energy and zero emissions, which makes this factory the first clean textile factory in the world, because everything is with electrical energy, and so there are no emissions at all. The wastewater treatment plant has been designed to ensure zero liquid discharge, and all the raw materials, yarn and textile chemicals, which are not available locally. So, this is part of what we have to import from abroad. At present, we have 300 between employees and workers. And even though the number of potential employees and workers is approximately 470, we're still in the process of enlarging our investment. Having a 100% local management team has meant having a very productive exchange of training experiences and know-how among the Carvico Group affiliates and the Ethiopian staff members, and this has always played a very active part in this strategy. So it's very interesting that we don't have basically any Italian manager down in Ethiopia. We just have an Italian person who's more or less a controller, but the DG and all the rest, all the other managers are all Ethiopians. The company has been conceived and designed for a production of 5 million kilograms of fabric, even though in 2025 the production has amounted to 2 million kilograms of fabric, which is equivalent to 18 million meters, to be directly supplied to top brands and garment makers worldwide. In this scenario, the Ethiopian community will also benefit from a collection of corporate income tax estimated at approximately $2 million a year, only from the company, to be increased by the taxes paid from the companies whose activity relates to Carvico Ethiopia. So this is a picture, very, very, of course, very small, very short of what we are doing in Ethiopia. But what I think it's important is also to being able to communicate the advantages of investing in Ethiopia, but in Africa more broadly, because many international investors still view the continent primarily through the lens of risk, instability, or humanitarian narratives rather than long-term economic opportunity. And effective communication helps fill information gaps, attract capital, and position investments competitively against other emerging markets. Here are the main reasons it matters. Many global investors are unfamiliar with African markets. If they only hear about conflict, inflation, or political challenge, they may overlook the rapid urbanization, the young and growing population, expanding the consumer markets, the infrastructure development, and untapped sectors with high growth potential. So what I think is extremely important is to have clear communication, reframing the narrative from high risk to high growth emerging opportunities. So this is my outlook on Africa. I do hope it was interesting. And I leave my place to...
So next we'll ask Paolo Bieri, Vice President, Confindustria Africa y Mediterraneo, to give us some remarks. Thank you.
I need the glasses, sorry. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Laura Colnaghi Calisoni from Confindustria Bergamo for inviting us to participate in this 6th edition of the Industrial Valve Summit, which continues to be an international relevant showcase of Italian excellencies in the industrial valve sector. Special thanks to Minister Fabrizio Lobasso and the Consul General of Algeria in Italy, Meriem Degen Inzidi, for accepting our invitation. As Vice President of Confindustria Africa and Mediterraneo, I represent the Industrial Association supporting Italian companies that are interested or already operate in the African, Middle East, and Turkey. Our business community includes small and medium-sized enterprise and large industrial groups located through Italy and operating across all sectors. The leading Italian banks and numerous industrial associations, including Confindustria Bergamo. Based on the experience we have gained over the years, we believe that EVS is a key event of promoting cooperation among Italian, African, and Middle Eastern companies within a supply chain that is becoming increasingly strategic in the relation to the need for efficiency and safety industrial plants. At a time marked by international crisis and shifting geopolitical dynamics, the energy and water sectors are increasingly critical to ensuring the development and stability of the global economy. Water and energy are also among the 6 priority assets identified by the Mattei Plan for the development of the industrial partnership between Italy and Africa. It is within the context that we establish collaboration between EVS and Confindustrias African Mediterraneo is taking place. Also, in this edition, delegates attending from Angola, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Ghana, Libya, Nigeria, Senegal, Syria, Qatar, and Oman. All of this has been possible thanks to the collaborative effort with both of the embassies and other industrial partners, such as the Italian Trade Agency, SACE, and UNIDO, with whom our association works closely every day. Project in the Orange Basin of the coast of Namibia, the Baleine field of the southern coast of Ivory Coast, LNG project in Congo-Brazzaville, and numerous opportunities in Angola, Nigeria, Gabon, and Libya, driven by infrastructure investment and new gas exploration, positioning Africa continent as the new global frontier for oil and gas. Domestic demand for greater access to electricity has also prompted countries such as South Africa and Zimbabwe to seek greater access to gas resources to electrify their industries and overcome energy gap. During the Nigeria International Energy Summit in 2025 in Abuja, OPEC Secretary Al Gais in fact underlined that the unlock of Africa's hydrocarbon potential is a top priority. Also, the Gulf states are looking to the African continent to secure long-term energy supplies. This is the case with XRG, a subsidiary of the Emirati oil major ADNOC, which is operating in Mozambique and Egypt. The growing focus on this sector is also evidenced by recent creation of the Africa Energy Bank, a $5 billion initiative by APPO, African Petroleum Producer Organization, and Afrexim Bank, African Export-Import Bank, established to finance projects related to the development of the hydrocarbon industry in the continent. Water security on the African continent is also becoming increasingly critical, and major projects are underway. Last April, Italy committed to allocation of $100 million to support water supply projects in the Democratic Republic of Congo as part of the program funded by the World Bank and ACHIA. Our member company was awarded a contract in Congo-Brazzaville for a water project under the Mattei Plan. Made in Italy industrial and flow control valve technologies are a historical area of specialization for the Italian mechanical engineering sector. Facilitate access to high-quality valves, contributing to the efficiency of both energy system and water infrastructure. In the roundtable discussion that will follow, several of our member companies, Saipem, Baker Hughes, and DG Impianti, will participate, engaging with other international companies in a constructive dialogue aimed at mutual growth. Our association is proud to contribute to this growth process through the participation of African operators in business matching with Italian companies, strengthen the international dimension of IVS, which each edition always with an oriented vision. Thank you, everybody.
Now we'll have our panel of individuals actually working in Africa, and they'll give us insight into their experience in working in Africa. What I'll do is I'll introduce each of the panelists and then ask them to come up, and they'll each give an introduction to their work and their companies. First, Jean Guillaume, CEO, To Be First Consulting, After years of working in his family business, Jean has been the CEO of To Be First Consulting for over 3 years. And the company To Be First Consulting helps companies in understanding opportunities through their Project Smart Explorer platform. Jean? Sergio Carleo, sales leader, Baker Hughes. Sergio is a highly customer-oriented sales leader with over 25 years of experience in commercial management within energy and industry. Baker Hughes is a leading industrialized energy solutions company that provides solutions for energy and industrial customers worldwide. Sergio? William Palazzo, Managing Director, DG Impianti. William Palazzo is Managing Director of DG Impianti with over 25 years of international experience in the energy sector. Founded in the 1960s as an Italian engineering and management company, DG has been pursuing a long-term development plan focused on the energy transition since 2016. Today, DG is involved in projects worldwide, from Mexico to Korea, across Africa, Europe, the Middle East, and in the Caspian region. William, please join us. Francesco Rosati, okay, grazie, is lead of Africa Commercial for SIPEM. SIPEM has operation in 50 countries and has over 30,000 employees. SIPEM manages engineering and construction for offshore and onshore oil and gas, offshore wind, and provides industrial solutions worldwide. Thank you. And Abdul Karim Hamadou, International Sales Leader and Thermal Solutions Expert for Barricon. Barricon is a French designer and manufacturer of heat exchangers with 80 years of experience in designing heat exchangers. The company is able to supply exchangers and heat exchange technology for all industrial applications and is very innovative in providing solutions for industrial processes such as liquid to liquid, water to water, gas to liquid, gas to gas, air to liquid, air to air, condensers, and it sounds like you have everything covered. Good. So I would like to ask the panelists to talk a little bit about their company and their experience in Africa. And Jean, we'll begin with you. You can forward the slides with that.
Does he? Okay. Perfect. Let's go. Not sure if something is supposed to be displayed. Well, maybe by the time. So I'm the CEO of To Be First Consulting. We're not so much a consulting firm. Ah, there he is. Thank you. So we're a partner of IVS. We have our logo. Yeah, okay. Our logo is here, and we trace projects all over the planet, and we help VALVEmakers to estimate their business opportunity inside those projects, and we help them to do business development. And as we are a data company, I prepare a few slides to discuss about the market, especially the African one as of today. And Africa is quite an interesting continent, as it has been said by the previous speakers. Africa is in a development which is quite exponential today, and we see that in the figures of project, because the capex of project in the continent has been growing since, I would say, the beginning of COVID, from a period of 40 billion per year to a situation now where we are arriving to 100 billions of energy project per year. So it's growing massively, and we have seen three effects. First, we have seen a flow of interest coming as soon as the war between Ukraine and Russia started, because of course all the projects in Russia needed to be replaced, and Africa was one of the locations where you could do this giant project to replace Russia. A little bit the same phenomena we are going to see the next 2 years if the crisis in Middle East is going to pursue. The second situation is clearly, I would say, phenomena was what was said, the demography effect, where there is a need for power generation and development in Africa, and of course the volume of investment in power generation is increasing since 2 years quite massively, and now we have a third wave which is coming on top of that, which is all the development of LNG, and as Italian companies with Saipem, for example, in Mozambique, which is here, of course you see massive investments starting to happen, which are quite giant. So now, if you look what is happening in Africa, it's quite interesting because, of course, the continent from the north to the south is super different. If you want the slide, shoot me your business card. I'll send you the slide with pleasure. And there is a huge domination you see on the slide from LNG project, which is about 1/3 of the business today for valve makers in Africa, then followed by FPSOs. In some region, then a lot of offshore application, and then a lot of pipeline as well, refineries, etc. And when you look at where the projects are being driven, where is the business for the valve manufacturer, I would say, as we are in IVS, there is really, I would say, 3 areas of business. All the Mediterranean area, which is super dynamic, quite mature in terms of development. Then we see the Gulf of Guinea being super active since, I would say, more than a decade today, but having, I would say, a new momentum to today. And then we see 2 other regions, Mozambique, I would say, on the east part, and Namibia on the west part, where it's, I would say, really fresh area, but with volume of investment, which are quite crazy, and with future prospects of development, which are going to be a little bit crazy. And just to share figures about the valve business, here I took it for, I would say, ball valve and as a benchmark. But if you look at all the business opportunities for the next 3 years inside each of those areas, Mediterranean area is 1.5 billion of business potential for valve. So quite a lot. I don't know what are your, I would say, personal objective in sales, but that should be around that. You have more or less the same figure in the area of Gulf of Guinea, the same potential in the Mozambique, Tanzania area. And then you have Namibia, which is starting to pop up, which is just a bit shy of a 1 billion investment just for valve. Again, so you see it's quite well balanced on the region. But of course, when you see those figures, you can imagine, I would say, the potential of those projects, knowing that most of the engineering capacities for projects in Africa are done either in Africa directly or in Europe, which of course is quite similar to the business Italians, French, German have been doing for the last few decades.
Very good. Thank you,
John.
John. Sergio.
Thank you.
Should advance.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, let me repeat thanks to Africa, Confindustria Bergamo, and Industrial Valve Summit for this invitation. It's a great opportunity for us to be part of this conference, thanks to Direttore Robasso. So I was here 2 years ago for another conference on Africa, and I have to say that in 2 years something changed. We are going in this mission for the Africa market. So Baker Hughes is a world-leading energy technology company with also oilfield services competencies and business line. We are over 57 employees worldwide in the world with more than 120 countries. Our mission today is to rewrite the energy equation. So we are transforming ourselves from an oil and gas company to an energy company. So the idea is for the energy equation is that we need to balance the world demand energy of the industry with the sustainable sources that we have today and for the future. In Italy, we operate through an historical brand name that is Nuova Opinione, with more than 7,000 employees. The headquarters is in Florence, where we have a center of excellence for turbo machinery equipment, turbine, compressor, and we have a huge installed base in Africa. Speaking about Algeria, for example, we have the largest service center in joint venture with Sonatrach to serve the machine that we have there. In Italy, as mentioned, is not only Nuova Opinione. We have 9 plants, 9 sites, from the north, like Talamona, to the south, Vibo Valencia, and I'm proud to be part of the few manufacturing plants of valves that are not in the Bergamo area, because our plant is in close to Naples, is in Casavatore, and there we have other historical brands, more than 100 years of history, so the Maison brand for control valves, and then consolidated for safety pressure valves. This is more or less, with the capacity of the plant in Naples is close of 12,000 valves per year. So, and we are serving the Africa hub from this plant. Of course, we cover spare parts, services to serve the customer where they are. And this is important because the last slide is dedicated to our footprint in Africa and our strategy in Africa. 2 years ago, this map was different because we have expanded our partnership, because as mentioned before by Direttore Robasso, the idea is to train the people to have the brain there. So we are expanding our network of partnership. As you can see from the slide, we have some sales and service office directly managed by Baker Hughes, but most of the other are channel partner, what we call channel partner. So in each country, more or less, and more in the future, we have qualified company that are working with us, that are in partnership with us to serve the customer that we have there, the installer base, and to grow together. And so, I think that this is one of the most important things relevant to this very huge market that is transforming these big opportunities worldwide.
Outstanding. Thank you. Also, Baker Hughes has an Italian CEO, Lorenzo Simonelli, who we see in Houston.
Sure, yeah. So we have Lorenzo, yes, he's Italian, and of course we have 2 headquarters. One is in Houston, and the other one is in Florence for the manufacturing.
Yes.
And we are supporting the minister to, as mentioned also before by Confindustria Bergamo, to support the Piano Mattei in Africa with a lot of initiatives there. We represent, as Baker Hughes, of course not as valves, more or less 1% of the amount of the exportation in Italy.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. William, tell us a bit about yourself and DG Impianti and your work in Africa.
Hi, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, like Sergio says, I would like to say thanks to IVS to hosting us and ASSO Africa to organize this very interesting panel about Africa, because we strongly believe that Africa can be one of the best places to do business, but also to start cooperation with Italy. because as the director Lobasso was saying, Africa can allow Italy to be an hub and a bridge to Europe, especially for energy. So in this very short presentation, I would like to show what we are, what we do, and then with specific focus on how we are involved in Africa in order to catch opportunity and to be able also to face the challenge that we feel. So DG Impianti is an Italian, it's a middle-sized Italian engineering company starting in 60 years ago in the oil and gas offshore activity. And then during the development of the company, we were involved in all the supply chain of oil and gas, starting from upstream, midstream, downstream. Then we moved to power generation, chemical, petrochemical, hard to abate, bioenergy, renewable and circular economy. Actually, we are involved with offices and projects from USA, so from America, from Mexico to Korea, moving through all Africa and Europe. And I will give you some highlight to what we are doing in Africa. What we do, we try to follow all the life cycle of a project, starting from the first stage, the concept, in order to be very close to the client to understand which are the basic needs, to start to develop all the engineering, the design, in order to move in the execution phase, to build the plant in stick build or modular approach, and then to follow the client during the operation phase until to arrive to the decommissioning. And what we are doing a lot today is the reuse or repurpose of the plant or the asset, which is one of the main targets today, to try to go on to the reuse and not to stop activity. Our services mainly are divided in 3 business lines. One is the support, project management service, where we support the client in order to be able to execute the project, giving the support as owner engineering, being very close to the client. The one which is the traditional approach is the engineering and design, where we follow all the phases of the project in a multidisciplinary approach, using all the skill we have in order to be able to get the project do faster, especially for fast track, time to market, so to be very close to the client. The last is technology, where we try to provide technology solution. So mainly in the area of CO2 management, H2 management, hydrogen, asset management in order to let the asset be used as much as possible, and circular economy, which is one of the main assets I was saying before, and biofuel, which is one of the applications we have in Africa. Focusing on Africa, our history starts in 2000, more or less, where we start the first project. Then we start to open offices from north to sub-Saharan area, and be involved in conventional oil and gas as a starting point, and move to mainly gas valorization, which was the main topic we have today, and then all the activity related to renewables and biofuel go through all the continent. In this slide, for instance, you see in the blue area is the location where we are involved in different projects. As we said before, Africa is a continent, so different shapes, different culture, different approach, different resources. Africa has been used by Western country as a place where resources are. Starting from mineral, copper, lithium, diamond, energy, so oil and gas. And actually, we are involved also in the biofuel, with the Agria project in Kenya, and also we are starting now in Rwanda to find feedstock that then will be moved in Italy for biorefinery. So for us, Africa, as I said, it's a place where there are a lot of opportunity, different kind of opportunity, different market, but one of the challenges to be able to face them in a different approach, because culture are different. We're talking about North Africa, which is different from Sub-Saharan Africa, and also different technology that can be applied. In the picture you see there are different plants where we are involved, from renewable, because we have the North Africa, which is linked to Italy, so it's a place where you can produce energy to be imported in Italy. offshore activity, on platform, on FPSO, FLNG for gas exploration, pipelines to move the stock, and also, as I said, green technology, where we use, we are involved in the agriculture phase to grow plants that then will be transformed in biomass, raw material, and be sent to Italy. And we will also try to transfer technology, valorizing the local content, not only to leave something in the country, but also to transfer knowledge and technology. And for us, it's one of the main important thing, because we are talking not only to do business, but to start to cooperate with the local country.
Okay, thank you, William. Francesco.
Pleasure. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you, and for inviting Saipem today and to have this speech. My name is Francesco Rosati, 25 years in the industry, first with Snam Progetti, now with Saipem, and I've been following global sales for upstream and onshore transportation for over a decade, and just newly appointed as head of commercial for the Africa continent, which, as has been said by our panel's experts, it's a huge continent with the major differences. I will not bore you too much, but I wanted to introduce a little bit our company for who are not aware. Of course, we are one of the major buyers of valve, as being a major EPC contractor. So we are a global leader in the engineering and construction service all over the world. We work in more than 50 countries across different businesses, not only in energy. We will see later. We'll go quickly to give you key figures about our company. As we said, we are working more than 50 countries. You can see on the map where we operate from main engineering centers. We have two in Italy. I'm based, by the way, in our premises in Fano, not in the corporate in Milan. But we also operate engineering centers in Paris, in India, in Chennai, and in London. We also have several fabrication yards who support our business, both onshore and offshore, in the floaters, in the platform business, but also onshore-wise, where fabrication has become really important. And you see also other sites. So these are a few figures from our company, which gives you an idea of the magnitude. Again, few numbers from our financial highlights from 2024. You can see the revenues and the order backlog, which allows, our stability and possibility to grow over the years. We'll skip this and give you just these are the major solutions that we offer to the business. As you said, we are currently, a few of these units have been grouped, but we operate, as you see, in the offshore engineering and construction, in the offshore wind, offshore drilling, where we have an extensive fleet, Sonsub, which is our specialized company for robotic operations undersea, the onshore engineering and construction. I belong to this unit, and this includes also our operations on the floaters, both floating and production unit, and also floating LNG, which we are currently chasing. The industrialized and robotic solution, which is now part of the onshore E&C, and we also operate, especially in Italy, for sustainable infrastructure for high-speed railways. Two more slides to give you an idea of our flagship projects, track records all over the world. And you can see our experience in North Africa and West Africa. And on the next slides, we see our ongoing projects. And you see there are mentioned our current onshore projects in Mozambique, which has been mentioned as one of the key places for our business, hopefully for now and for the future, and for Africa as well. And in Nigeria, where we are completing Train 7 of Boni LNG, or in Angola, where we just completed Northern Gas Complex project for Azul. And I'm just back from the Africa Energy Summits in London, and I can say that even hearing by the other experts, since I'm quite new to, not to Africa, because I've been following many projects in Africa over the past 20 years, but not cross-business. It's really a big time for investment and business in Africa. We see maybe also will become even more and more important as for the stability of the energy market. So thanks for
of course,
for this quick
very
speech.
good. Now I'll ask Abdul Karim, tell us about a little bit more about your company and also your business activity in Africa, North Africa, or maybe you sell through the whole continent. I don't know.
Yes. Hello, my name is Abdel Karim Amadou. I'm head of international sales of the company VALVECamp, which is a French company of 90 years old now. I don't have a presentation like my colleagues because I joined the panel lately, and I am very honored because I am not confirming such a prestigious company like yours. But our mid-scale company is everywhere on all of your projects. We are specialized in tailor-made solutions for heat exchangers. And we are very good where the biggest cannot go with the standard solutions. It allows us to be on a very wide range of applications coming from heavy industry, oil and gas, petrochemical, pharmaceuticals as well, but not only, even in agro industry, which is important for us in Africa, more in the north with companies like Cevital in Algeria, for instance. We are a key player for them. And we develop dedicated application and solutions for them. Regarding global Africa, we are sitting in north, east, west, and south. Not in the middle because the projects are not so mature for that. And we see great potential for in all these parts of Africa. My personal life is linked to Africa because of my origins, okay? As I said, I'm head of international sales and passing from US to Asia easily, but something is happening in Africa, really. I used to hear that Africa is the next big thing. This is what we used to hear since the last 15 or 20 years. But I really feel that the last 5 years we started the journey, definitely, for developing Africa. And I'm very happy to take part of it.
Thank you very much. That's an interesting statement because I've been in this business for a very long time, over 30 years, and have heard, Africa's the next big thing. But I agree with you. Our company tracks projects announced, under construction, etc. And now it's real. The FID, the projects are being funded, and it's all over the region. It's LNG, it's offshore, it's onshore, it's infrastructure. It's very exciting. So I'd like to ask, put this to the panel. Obviously, and several of you mentioned it, there's great differences in, we say Africa, but people who live there don't think of Africa as one unit. I'm sure you don't. There's North Africa, Sub-Saharan, East and West, offshore. Where do you see the opportunities, and what do you see in the difference of the opportunities in the different regions in Africa? I'll put that to the panel. Francesco, I'm going to volunteer you to start.
Thank you. Well, as you said correctly, it's really it's difficult to talk about Africa. There's so many different environments. And as Saipem, we've been involved in doing business in Africa in places that we consider traditional for us, like Nigeria and Angola. We've been established there for over many decades. The North Africa, our presence and projects that we executed in Algeria, in Libya, in Egypt. But as you said, in the recent years, the shift and the importance of gas, which is a major pillar of the energy transition, leading the path to net zero, gave rise to many, also to new other hubs where we never been before. Mozambique, again, back to this, it's one of the key places where huge discoveries of gas have been brought to the development of a major LNG plant that is currently under restarting for Total, new ones coming for ExxonMobil.
Yep.
And just a recent visit for the future developments that we will see in Tanzania, maybe in the coming years. Very big developments. The problem of these countries is that they are quite new as to the oil and gas business. So reaching FID and the maturity to align the interest of the international investors and the local government, it will take some time. But we saw this happening successfully in Mozambique. More recently in Namibia, with offshore developments. We are not part of the onshore as of today, but we are more floater opportunities coming for Total, for Gulp. So, but not only that, also this is mainly for the expert, but has been said by our panelists that also the internal consumptions of energy is increasing in Africa. So I see personally every day requests for projects which are centered on the gas to power, so use of domestic gas for producing electricity in Senegal, in Mauritania, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Ghana, recently in Namibia, just in these days, been following an opportunity there, and also on the fertilizer business, on the gas monetization. We are very present already in Nigeria, but there are new opportunities in Ethiopia that we are exploring. Also South Africa planning to import gas to produce locally. So really it's the difficulty for me from a commercial perspective is to try to follow and support this client, these initiatives, and help them to understand which can reach FID where we can play a role. But I see it's very, very interesting time for this business.
Okay. I'll ask the other panelists to answer that question, but you actually hit on my follow-up question, which is the gasification of Africa, producing natural gas not only for export, but for internal consumption now, and the build-out of the infrastructure to make that happen. What do you see there? So, William.
Yes, first of all, I would like to say that as a company, our statement, typical statement, is the statement of Miss Charles Darwin, which will be the species that will survive in the development. It's not the strongest, it's not the smartest, but it's the one that is able to adapt. So what we are going to do is to adapt in the different approach that you need in Africa. Because Africa, as Italian, we are connected to Africa by the Mediterranean Sea, which is not dividing us, it's a bridge to be connected with Africa. Going back to your question, one of the main issue that we had in the past in Africa during the activity of flaring down, there was a lot of project. We were involved in the flaring down in different countries, which was not a matter of technology, but what we are going to do with gas. Because, at that ages, there was not the issue of the gas blocked from Russia, no problem of Hormuz Strait, so there was no LNG activity. So the issue was what we are going to do with the gas, which will be not flared. And we understand it's a matter of culture, it's a matter of infrastructure, because we have to start to let the people understand to use electricity. It's not just to make a plant, a power plant, it's something that you can do. You have gas, you have power plant, you can also build infrastructure, but people have to use electricity. Otherwise, there is no way to use it. And it was one of the issues. Now, what will we see? That a lot of projects are ongoing. A lot of gas is exported from Africa because we are using a lot in Europe, from Mozambique, from Congo, Ivory Coast, Angola. You know, we're looking for gas. But at the same time, the country are growing, and the use of gas transformed in energy is something that is still a little bit the bottleneck, but country are working on it. So this is it's a dual approach. From one side, industry have to go deeper for new technology, more efficient use of energy, but at the same time, the country has to grow and to start to use as much as possible, let's say, energy, electricity connected with gas that produce it. So that's why there are complex issues, because it's not, as I said a lot of times, it's not a matter of technology. If you think that 50 years ago we went to the moon, today cannot be a problem of technology on the Earth. It's something that it's a matter of discussing together to find solutions which have to be integrated.
Thank you, Jean. Do you have a...
I mean, if you look at the continent, there is not really, I would say, a common dynamic. It's plenty of dynamic. If you take countries like Algeria, Egypt, I mean, they are really mature in terms of upstream, so they still have some investment, but the real dynamic there is really on, I would say, petrochem, fertilizers, refineries, cracker of ethylene, which is really the business up there. If you take the region from, I would say, Ghana to Angola, they have been working in the upstream for decades already, and they are still doing it very, very well to maintain the volume of production. But now we see a new wave of, I would say, midstream project. I mean, there is 2 giant pipeline projects to bring the petrol from there back to Europe, for example, either offshore or onshore. And there is also a start of investment for petrochem, because the population there want to have petrochem products, I would say, for the growth of standard of life, which is mandatory. And then you have countries like Namibia and Mozambique, which are at their beginning of journey, I would say, in terms of energy, where it's pure, I would say, upstream today opportunities in terms of project, and they are to the export. And as it was mentioned, following the situation in Middle East as we have today and Russia, Africa was seen for a long time as kind of a risky area for projects. And over 10 projects announced, we had only 2 projects or 3 projects going to execution. And today there is no safe area anymore, to be honest. And to the point that if you look at the level of insurance risk of project in Africa, it's getting lower than Middle East, which was never the case. And it means that today it's more profitable for a project to be done in Africa than in Middle East. And of course, it's going to boom opportunities there. And to replace Russia, to replace the Strait of Hormuz is going to be a lot of money on the table. And if it can benefit the local people first to produce and then to use this energy, of course, it's quite a human factor which is going to drive the business and project for a long time.
Thank you. Abdul Karim, would you like to? There's a mic right there for you.
Just a global feeling about Africa. The main point is to align the politic with the needs of the country and the continent. Everything starts from here. And this is what I see in the new generation of, let's say, government. You have people which came back from the diaspora with a new mindset, and this is moving inside the countries. Because they not only want to produce or to add value to their raw material or feedstock, they also want to do it the best way with the very up-to-date technologies. They also are talking about decarbonization, which is something we came to in Europe or US after 50 or 60 years of intensive refineries. And they want to start from that since the beginning. And that's something very interesting, enthusiastic, and very positive for the future, because they want to do the thing in the right way. And as Jean mentioned, now Africa is not as risky as the other part of the world, even from a politic aspect. And this is what our companies are just looking for: stability minimum risk, and the wish of doing the thing in the best way.
That's a very interesting point you bring up about repatriation and a kind of a new mindset. We'll come back to that next.
Just to say that, of course, now when we speak about Africa, we speak about most probably 4 or 5 different markets, and but is an unbelievable hub of opportunities with different approach, of course, because some of them are growing very fast. So means in 5 years your investment relationship will be paid. Like, for example, the LNG Mozambique is something that is growing very fast. Some are more linked to long-term investment. But anyway, it's something that we have to follow for sure. We see that today China is investing a lot. It's most probably going more fast than us that are very close to them, to Africa. In the fertilizer is another. So for sure, in the next 10 years, the consumption of fertilizer for internal use will be 5 times what we have today. The gas demands will be 5 times what we have today. Of course, we need to have an approach, a mixed approach. So invest for short term, but maybe for long term, because for sure the consumption of energy, gas, and other outcomes of the industries will grow in Africa for sure in the next 5-10 years.
Excellent. So back to the point that Abdul Karim made about people coming back and having a different attitude. What are the challenges around personnel and the local content issues in the different countries?
Well, in terms of local content, I mean, as Cyprian, for us, it's really it's normal business. I mean, it's everywhere we work. For example, now talking about the projects that I've been following, I'm quite often in Algiers in this day for a major phosphate and fertilizer plant using phosphate from the mine and gas to produce fertilizers. Is one of the biggest that we are chasing, and it's my first comeback in Algiers after more than 10 years, and we work every day with the Algerian companies, Sonatrach companies, and in the past we also had a major engineering center working there. So in countries where the business is quite well established, this is standard for us, but also where we enter in new countries like in Mozambique, of course, the training and the exchange of technology and the development of local content, it's a key aspect. Also, let's say, it's something that all the local government and the authorities have this very clear in their mind when they drive the investment on these projects. And I see it again, I mentioned the project in Tanzania where the government is busy discussing this opportunity with the international investors, because in countries that are quite new to this industry, this is one of the key aspects that must be considered. But we saw this in Mozambique, and I think that we did it, and we are currently doing successfully, working with small and medium enterprises and help to develop the local market. And as I've already mentioned, we already start to see the beginning of new projects that are supposed to grow, to respond to the growth of the local demand of energy. And so this will help again lead the development of the country also for with the industry inside the company, the country.
Well, personally speaking, I think that local content for, let's say, for us, for Western country, can be really a key enabler of doing business in Africa. Because what we see is that typically where Sergio was talking about China competition, China China is bringing money, is bringing the availability to build something as a compensation of project because they have a lot of money. What we bring instead is typically technology. It's transferring knowledge to people. That means a long-term agreement and to let the country growing because you are investing in the people, not just bringing money to the country. That we know that this money is going all around, but sometimes not in the right place. From company point of view, what we did in the past, let's say more or less 5 years ago, we decided to invest in our design center as engineering, not in India, but in Egypt. Because, as I said, Egypt are more close to Italy. We are, let's say, cousin because we have this Mediterranean lake, which is just it's a bridge. So instead of going in India, like everyone, to having, let's say, cheaper engineering, we decided to invest in Egypt, which is a bridge to do business also in Africa. But for us, Egypt Design Center is working for Mexico, to China too. So this is a way, in a pragmatic way to say we do local content because we invest in the country, and we see this opportunity to be, let's say, a little bit step forward, respect other approach which just go there to solve the gap of the, would say, the standard. Now you have to have 5 people for each expat you have in this country. We try to go further, but I think, as I said, that it's a way to be on top respect to the competitor, and also to have it's a booster for our client because we are part of this local content investment, which is a way that our client is showing to the counterpart in the country, which we are doing something good for the country.
Abdul Karim and then Sergio.
As mentioned, those as showed in one of the slides, our approach, especially to serve the solar base that we have, is to partner with the local company. And of course, it's an investment in terms of training, but it's also a way to stabilize the relationship and to stabilize the business inside. So for sure, the local content is an investment, but it's also a way that is repaid then from the contract that we are able to catch together with the people there. And also is an enabler for the future projects that are landing in the same countries, because a lot of times, IPEM, for example, when there is an EPC project are landing in Africa or in other continent, they ask us if we have a local company that are able to manage issues or to be part of the construction and so on. So for sure can be an enabler. And frankly speaking, we have to say that it's not only Africa, but if we speak about MENA, it is the same. So there are a lot of requests for local content. So it's not now is a news for the business for Africa. And another thing is also helping to reduce the risk of be paid. Because one of the risks that there is in Africa is the shortage of currency, and most of the payment to the company are done in local currency. So, and this means having a company based there, if you can get at the end, you can be paid in this way.
Okay, very good. Abdul Karim?
Yes. From our perspective, local content is a very sensitive topic because we are not a huge company. We're only 150%. And local content has to be studied very carefully because we cannot make local content in every countries we are targeting, definitely. And we used to study first what are the rules of the local content of each countries. And then we select or not to go in this country or not. For instance, last year we made a quite big deal for us. It's around 6 to 7 million euros in India for in an heavy industry for processing alumina. And they required from us 20% local content as a minimum. To be honest, it's something impossible to do, but the end user and the country absolutely need our solution. So at the end, we manufacture 100% from France and 0 from India, because we are on a very specific category which allow us to escape from this. What I want to say to Africa is not to be too rigid on the local content policies, in order not to close the countries for companies like mine. Big companies can do local content, but small companies not. And we see that our solutions are very key for some part of processes. And if the policy is too rigid for us, we cannot enter the country.
Jean?
No, I mean, maybe I'll take another angle of the question to talk about the difficulties as well, because of course there is full of opportunities, but as Sergio mentioned, sometimes it's the environment around the business which is not following up. As a French, you do business with Algeria all day long. Business-wise, it's going fantastic with Sonatrach, and then out of nowhere, the French government is picking a fight with the Algerian government, and then you are going to get stuck documentation-wise for 3 months because of the rich, I would say, historical past of French and Algeria. And business-wise, everybody is sorry. You're sorry for the project, Sonatrach is sorry for you, and then he's stuck, and after 3 months, it relaxes, and then he starts again. Same focus with, I would say, the banking system. Sometimes you are doing the project, everything is delivered. You are getting paid for, I would say, in my experience, from Egypt to France. And then your banking people are calling you, say, what are you doing with Egypt? Okay, it's suspicious. Okay, you have an activity in Egypt since forever. You are being paid in Egypt already, but okay, you are suspicious, and then you need to go to do documentation. To the point that sometimes to get paid from Egypt, you need to pass through Dubai, which is a little bit pity, to be honest. And you're like, okay, guys, update yourself. You need to go move forward. The world is happening. Egypt is a fantastic country. You can go there for holidays, so I mean, it's fine. And the last situation that I was in, for example, is Libya. I mean, Italians are doing a lot of work in Libya. It's going very well. But as soon as you visit Libya, then you cannot have a visa for US anymore. Okay, so you cannot have an ESTA. So of course it's slowing down the business, and some companies I know in my network, okay, they say no, Libya is a no-go zone, not because the business is not there, it's a fantastic business area, but then it would create problem to go to US. And that's an arbitrage which is a little bit stupid, to be honest, because in the White House, I don't know if they have updated the situation about Libya. And this kind of situation is a pity, because business-wise and people-wise, everything is happening very well. And it's the supporting system that should be, I would say, promoting the business, which is slowing down. And it's getting better, definitely. I agree with Abdelkarim on this, but there is still a lot of, I would say, things to be done and updated on this, because honestly, especially since from Europe and Africa, there is a lot of ties, historical ties, and there is a lot of things to do together, definitely. But sometimes it's a bit frustrating that I would say the institution around are not following up the pace of the business.
Yes, so we're a small company as well, and sometimes you mentioned India. It's very difficult to do business in India as a small company, and so we ask for cash up front on everything, which has made our business decrease, but we still do business there. But that's a big issue, especially for smaller companies. We just don't have the resources or the attorneys or the accounting people to sort through it all. What do you think the biggest challenge to doing business in Africa is now? So there's a lot of valve companies here who want to get into these projects. This is the final question for the panel. What is the biggest challenge to doing business in Africa? We'll start with you, Sergio.
As I mentioned before, so we have different situations everywhere. So first of all is to adapt the approach to the local reality. In general, of course, what was mentioned is that local regulatory or fiscal regulatory sometimes is a big risk. Of course, company needs to invest, but also to be repaid. So, and sometimes, of course, we have still some, even if it's going down, some risk in terms of political. If we speak about Mozambique, we know that for years the project was stuck for some issues locally. After that, I don't think that, so I see only opportunity. But these 3 points means that you need to approach the different North Africa's different way and different risk, different challenges, Sub-Saharan Africa, other, South Africa, and so on. But of course, it's something that is anyway. What I see is that the risk and the challenges are going down. So it's more opportunities than challenges.
I've heard that from all the panelists, and the cost of insurance, the risks are going down. That's significant. William?
Yeah, what we can say is that the risks are mainly what we were saying, what we were talking about before. There is a big issue is the bureaucracy, because every time you have to do something, it depends by the location, the country. But from Italian point of view, also Italian is it's full of bureaucracy, so we feel comfortable. It's worse than us, but we start from a good point. The Italian people know that we still have Regio Decreto, which are law made from the first king of Italy. So apart of that, there is also, for me, a way to solve a lot of trouble is to find good partner. Because I say, especially for us, we are also a medium size, so we are able to invest. We are investing. I talk about Egypt. We are also investing a lot in Algeria. We have a company there. We are hiring more people, but at the same time, we are looking for partner, because it's the best way to make a step forward, to be in the right position in the country. So my suggestion is to have patience for bureaucracy. Try to push, but understanding that there is a timeline that we have to respect. It's the same when we are talking. If you work in Arabic country, it's very similar. And the attitude to believe in partnership, try to find it as a way to speed up activities.
Yeah, just to complement what was said by the other experts, I think it's the stability of the countries where we work. And again, there are so many differences across the continent. Mozambique has been mentioned, but also so in the past 5 to 10 years, for example, the situation in Algeria deteriorated a lot, and this didn't help the business. We saw a slow decline of our onshore opportunities there. But not only Saipem, but also many other contractors and investors as well. We see, the companies, absolutely. We see how many opportunities, and also historically we have in Libya that are just waiting for the two parties to form a joint government and to unlock the funds. And this is so important for Mediterranean and for Italy as well. So yes, the stability of the country is, I think, is the main thing that all the investors and all the actors will look at, and this will help bring the cash, the investment, and unlock the projects in the end and getting them to FID.
Karim?
I will take one example I have in mind just to illustrate what I want to say. It happens in Egypt, okay, 3-4 years ago, and the government decided to build the biggest sugar refinery in Egypt in order to be self-sufficient, okay. We took part of the negotiation at that time, and the deal has been made with Chinese, okay. So for me, the main risk of Africa is the Chinese, because they have supplied equipment which looks like to ours, but when it comes to start the refinery, it didn't start. Why? When I try to understand how it happened and how it's possible, first thing is the ability or the access to financing. So Africa is, players in Africa have some difficulties to get access to financing. So this is one of the main risks. And this risk lead them to go with cheapest solution, which are not the best one for them. And we all know that Africa has some heavy duty. You have high temperature, you have dust. The conditions are very different. And you need to have very specific equipment. And Chinese are not good to provide these equipments today. And at the end of the day, Egypt has spent how many billions of dollars for nothing at the end. And they can do the things differently if they have easy access to financing. Second point, Jean talked about it. It's the political relation with our countries. And I would say we have to act like European to Africa, not only countries one by one. We are talking about Italy, but my mindset is European one, because when you go to Algeria, Morocco, or Egypt, you are seen as a European manufacturer, not just Italian or French or German. And this is also another risk for us. If we just go by saying we are French or Italian, we're not going to succeed. Because in Africa, they are seeing the world like US or Asian or Chinese. And I think we will be stronger if we go just unified.
That's interesting. Okay. Any question? Quick question from the audience. Anybody have a question in the audience? Okay. And then we'll wrap it up. Oh, 2 questions. We'll make it fast. Ladies first, yes.
Thank you. Very interesting, by the way. My name is Nora Pierrin. I come from Canada, and I represent a company named Seawell and Baltex. We dedicate ourselves to valve integrity. We are all over the world. We have a very extended network of distributors around the world. We work in Africa as well. And very well said when you guys said, you know, Africa has been waiting for so long, because we had inquiries from Africa for a very long time, and finally we see a little bit more of action happening from our distributors in place as well. So as we dedicate ourselves to valve integrity, meaning that we do not manufacture the valves, but we work with the valves from the pre-commissioning, commissioning, eventually lubrication of the valves in pipelines, refineries, and wellheads, and all the things that we saw on the screens. We try to maintain the valve healthy through the lifespan of the valve, avoiding leaks and eventually sealing the valves when it happens. Environmentally speaking, what is the appetite in Africa in these new projects right now to do the right thing with the valves, to work, in that way with the valves, the same way that I'm explaining to you in a nutshell?
Anyone want to take that?
I'm not an expert especially involved, but I can tell you from the financing point of view. If you take the giant project today, which are happening, Mozambique, Tanzania, all the infrastructure projects they are developing for the energy, the return of investment is calculated over 25 years. Okay, so it means that at minimum you need to pass this period to start to be beneficial. So it means that in terms of maintenance for valves, you need to be on point. And I don't think there's maintenance team and the local knowledge for the valve is missing, definitely, in terms of maintenance, and the team and the competencies of the teams in Africa has been growing quite massively on the last 5 years, 10 years. No, sometimes the question, and back to the Karim, sometimes it's the financing, meaning that you start to have outside problems outside of the project, and then the people are not getting paid, and of course then the maintenance disappear, and that's where all then follows apart. But in terms of requests from specs point of view, I mean, the idea is to go for long term. All the pipeline which are currently being developed, for example, they're starting to work on life cycle of 45 years, which is giving you a high stake of quality, as Abdelkarim mentioned.
I agree. At the moment, frankly speaking, as I mentioned, the competence is created by us. So we are producing valves that needs to stay and to work for forever. We have we have valves. Of course, Africa is not just yesterday. So we have valves in Port Harcourt that are 40 years working. Of course, we are creating, for example, and I think that other manufacturers are doing that. Service center localized there with the local people, supervised by us, qualified by us. So I don't think that this is a big matter for the future. So the possibility to have valves working, maintained in the right way is something that is today is a reality.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Luca Ruggeri from representing Valve Italia, one of the Italian leading technology provider of solutions, including valves, of course. First of all, thank you very much for the very interesting panel. Mine is more a reflection. We are seeing today that Africa, as Jean explained quite clearly, is a land of opportunities. Now, from one side, we have a land of opportunities. We have the Italian genius loci, let me say, where we have all the capabilities, we have the technology, we have the know-how, the flexibility to go and offer our solutions to the African demand. My reflection, my encouragement is how can we put together the demand and the offering and try to satisfy the requirement? Because Italy has a supply chain which can cover most of them. We have amazing front runners, and we have just a couple of here on the stage, but we have many others, Saipem, Baker Hughes. We have, we heard from Director Lobasso, we have the tools, we have the financing that can help also, as Mr. Abdelkarim has said, to satisfy the financial needs of the projects. We need to really try to put together all these and be able to go in Africa and present the supply chain as a system with the front runner, with the EPC, with the compressors, with the valves, with the pipes, and with all the equipments, same as other countries are doing, because other European countries are doing the same, and if not European, other Eastern countries are doing. So they are going to Africa, they are going there with the financing, they are going there with the equipment, with the know-how, and they are taking the business. So really mine is more a reflection and encouragement to institutions, as Africa, thanks very much for arranging, institutions like the ministry. We really need to put together this and be able to go in Africa. We have historical link with Africa that are second to no one. We need to be able to go there, take these opportunities and deliver as Italians are used to do. So this is more my reflection. Thanks very much.
That's a very good point. And talking about Italians having excellent front runners, we do a lot of business with E&I. And E&I in Africa has been amazingly successful, innovative, is seen around the world as doing amazing projects like the Zohr projects, their deepwater projects in West Africa, and then also in being involved in the deep gas discoveries, I believe, in Mozambique. So you have, a key operator that has an excellent reputation and success in Africa as well. So, with that, gentlemen, thank you. And let's give them a round of, one other question? All right.
Sorry. My name is Abdurrahman Tal. I am a sales manager of Step in Africa, a company based in Senegal. I just want to thank you for the invitation and thank all the panelists. The discussion was really interesting. And I particularly want to thank Mr. Abdul Karim for bringing the local content point on the floor. It's really important for us now. I can talk by experience. I'm working with the government, and we have a platform in Senegal actually to create it. We need to be on the platform to be able to work on the mining industry or on the oil and gas industry, because we are supplying materials. We buy from Europe. Generally, we are working with French companies. And I just want to encourage you all to bring your experience in Africa. Just not to come and with the money, as you were saying, but we need your technical skills. We need your support. We need your training. We need you to form our people. Because the thing is, if you just come and bring your experiences, I did my study in French, and I went back to Africa. I'm from the diaspora you are talking about, so I'm talking by experience. And the thing is, we are missing training and we are missing formation in Africa. And with the local content, we are sure that we will make it through. Because the thing is, with the Italian people, if you come by and open like, I think you are talking about, I forgot the name of the center you open in Egypt. This is the kind of initiative we need. This is the kind of things you need. Instead of just coming and bringing your experience and just marking the project and going by after execution, we need you to form the people. We need you to transfer your competencies and your technical skills. And thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. Panelists, any final comments that you'd like to make? And then we can go have lunch.
Yeah, we'll be very, very quick. I don't want to waste time. No, just a reflection after the question on the reflection from the floor. No, talking about us, it's a business model we are trying to set up. We start with Egypt. As a talk, now we are moving to, we are opening in Algeria. We are doing the same. We are training people. We are exchanging with our colleagues from Algeria. The target is to have Algerian, in this case, let's say trained, but we are not. We have to partnership with them. It's they are our colleagues. We are starting now also in Kenya. We open an office in Kenya at the end of the year. We are targeting to have colleagues from Kenya in Italy. And one suggestion is to try, in this country, to try also to be all the bureaucracy more fast, to move people from not waiting for visa, which is some little bottleneck, because you have to move people from Algeria to Kenya to Italy. Is not just to take a plane and come. They are out of Europe, so they are managed differently. And the second very fast reflection was after the VALVEitalia, my suggestion, but it's Seben know more than me, we have two markets in Africa. The offshore floater is not in Africa. So all the equipment for the offshore, we have to go to Korea and China. We are not going to Africa to sell valves for the ships that they are building. So what we have to have in mind, it's also for us, we have project in Africa. On the offshore, it's all, you need to invest in the country. But for what's happening today on the global scale, we also have to be in the area where this ship, which are now the exit, the exploration point to be developed, they are built out of Africa. Not in Italy, but actually mainly are in Korea. So we have to go to there to sell. It's very basic, but it's a way also to understand, and companies are investing there because they are the manufacturer of the ships.
Okay. Let's thank our panelists for that excellent discussion. Thank you all